They came to America expecting chaos, division, and everything the headlines had warned them about. Then something changed. Why did strangers begin feeling like neighbors? Why did a short trip start looking like a life they were not ready to leave? Across stadiums, highways, and ordinary American streets, European fans discovered a country far warmer, freer, and more alive than the version they had been sold. America pulls you. In for years, many Europeans were shown an America that seemed permanently angry, divided, and suspicious of anyone who arrived with the wrong accent. Then the 2026 World Cup brought them here, and the first surprise was embarrassingly ordinary. Americans kept making room for them.
I am not cool enough for East London. I'm not cool enough. East London is a specific type of confidence.
This might be the truest thing that I've actually read in this platform. Like, obviously it comes not only with being a journalism student, but being an international student, that you have to reach out, you have to be a more extroverted person. I can't believe how friendly everyone here is, like how easy it is to just go up and talk to random people in the States.
I think Americans are like that though. Like, you get on a bus in America, I'm assuming, and like everyone's like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Like, talking and that, but we do not want to know each other.
A fan steps into a diner wearing a foreign jersey, and before the coffee has cooled, somebody at the next table is asking where he came from, which team he supports, and whether he has tried the pie. America does not introduce itself with a press release. It hands you a menu, pulls over a chair, and somehow adds you to a conversation that started before you walked in. That matters because public friendliness is packaged differently across Europe. On the London Underground, commuters often protect silence like a small personal property. In Paris, warmth usually follows a proper bonjour and a little social rhythm. In Berlin, people can be helpful without turning every practical exchange into a friendship audition. None of that is unfriendly. It is simply more measured. America, by contrast, often behaves like a front porch with no obvious edge. You stand near it long enough, and someone may offer you lemonade.
The difference is that when you're walking in the morning, in like San Diego, LA, wherever you are, California in general, when it's early morning and you run into someone like random, they say good morning.
I'm having one of those God bless America moments, and let me tell you why. I just got back from a month in London, a month. And the entire time I was there, you just notice the dynamic between people. People are just not as friendly, and we know this in different countries, they're just not as friendly. Today I got back and I'm at Erewhon and had a whole 10-minute conversation with this girl while we were waiting for our smoothies in a different country that they could never.
It's always surprising to me to see how polite and friendly Americans are.
This is where the media picture begins to fall apart. Headlines tend to show America during its loudest arguments because conflict travels well on a screen. Daily life is quieter and far more generous. It is the volunteer explaining the train system twice because the visitor still looks confused. It is the family at a tailgate passing over a plate without asking whether the guest understands football. It is the cashier who notices the accent and gives 3 local recommendations, 2 warnings about traffic, and 1 opinion about barbecue that sounds legally binding. The deeper cultural difference is that Americans often treat enthusiasm as hospitality. They do not wait for a relationship to become official before showing warmth. They build the relationship through warmth. That can feel almost suspicious to someone accustomed to slower social doors, yet after several days, the suspicion begins to melt. What first looked like exaggerated friendliness starts feeling like permission to belong. That is probably why some European fans began dreading the flight home. They were not falling for a polished tourist version of the country. They were becoming attached to ordinary American openness, the kind that appears in parking lots, grocery lines, neighborhood bars, and stadium concourses. It makes a foreign city feel less like a place you're visiting and more like somewhere your name might be remembered tomorrow. The great surprise was never that America had fewer problems than the news suggested. It was that the news had left out so much of its heart. And in America, somebody will probably insist you take a plate for the road as well. Once these visitors experienced that heart in person, home was still home. But leaving America suddenly felt like walking away from a party just as somebody brought out another tray of food. One more exit. The dangerous thing about traveling in America is that the map keeps making suggestions. A European fan may begin the morning with a perfectly sensible plan, then notice a state park, a roadside diner, a giant outlet mall, and a town with a name that sounds like it was invented during a family argument. By lunchtime, the schedule has collapsed, nobody seems upset, and the rental car has become the most enthusiastic member of the group. This is where one of the oldest ideas about America quietly falls apart. From overseas, the country's size is often presented as a burden, something inconvenient, wasteful, and almost impossible to understand without a full tank and emotional support. Once visitors begin traveling through it, that same distance starts feeling like freedom with cup holders.
This is gonna be like wildly pick me, but like whatever. I'm a pick me at heart anyway. The thing that grinds my gears about American culture, about the US, is the culture of convenience that we now have come to expect.
The Federal Highway Administration measures the interstate highway system at roughly 49,000 miles. That number sounds dry until you realize what it means in real life. Thousands of exits leading toward beaches, mountain towns, music cities, national parks, football stadiums, and diners where the menu has apparently never heard of moderation. The road does more than connect places. It keeps whispering that there may be something worth seeing another 20 miles ahead. Europe offers a different kind of pleasure. A train from Paris can carry you into Belgium in less time than many Americans spend driving across Texas. From Amsterdam, several countries are close enough for a weekend trip without turning the journey into a full expedition. That compactness is beautiful, efficient, and deeply civilized. America gives the traveler another sensation entirely. The horizon keeps refusing to finish the story. That is why the driving becomes strangely addictive. It is not simply about owning a car or covering enormous distances, it is the feeling that plans remain negotiable. In Germany, an Autobahn trip is often organized around reaching the destination efficiently. In the United States, the route itself can become the destination, especially once someone spots a billboard promising world-famous pie beside an exit that appears to contain 3 buildings and one very confident gas station. The appeal runs deeper than scenery. American road culture gives ordinary people a small taste of independence that feels almost cinematic. You choose when to leave, where to stop, what music plays, and whether a 2-hour detour is a mistake or the best part of the trip. No platform change, no final boarding call, and no conductor reminding the group that their curiosity is delaying everyone else. The car becomes a private little republic, complete with snacks, arguments over the playlist, and foreign visitors slowly learning that nearby in America may require 90 minutes of driving. This freedom helps explain why some European fans begin dreading the flight home. They arrived expecting American distance to feel exhausting, yet they discovered how easily it creates anticipation. Every highway sign offers another version of the day. Every state line feels like a fresh chapter, even when the scenery changes only from cornfields to slightly more determined cornfields. America's scale makes room for surprise, and surprise is difficult to leave behind. After several weeks, the visitors are no longer asking how far away something is. They're asking whether there's time for one more exit before sunset. The 72-degree secret by the 4th day in America, a European fan may develop a new travel instinct. Never judge the weather from inside a building. Outside, the pavement can shimmer like a cast iron skillet at a 4th of July cookout. Inside, the lobby feels calm enough for a sweater, a coffee, and possibly a small committee meeting about why nobody warned him. That temperature gap looks like a joke, yet it explains one of America's most addictive everyday luxuries. The International Energy Agency has estimated that fewer than 1 in 5 European households have air conditioning, while roughly 9 in 10 American homes use it. In London, Paris, or Berlin, summer often means opening windows, closing shutters, buying a fan, and hoping the old apartment cooperates. Those habits make sense in cities shaped by cooler climates, older buildings, tighter energy rules, and streets designed long before central air existed.
They have the craziest thing here in America. So it's blazing hot outside. But look at this. I'm going to step into this establishment and it's chilly. It's hot outside, but when you step in, it's like a winter's day.
Americans, you are so lucky. I have spent the weekend experiencing a tiny portion of what an American summer can look and feel like. And all I have to say is, wow.
To your national anthem that talks about air conditioning. Americans are only scared of one thing, and that is being hot. But I love it. I love it. Is it something you have against being hot? Because the air conditioning, the ice in everything? Alors, something that I figured out.
America grew around a different bargain with summer. Across Texas, Florida, Arizona, Georgia, In large parts of the Midwest, heat is hardly a charming seasonal visitor. It arrives early, stays late, and brings humidity that can make a clean shirt surrender before breakfast. Americans answered with cooled homes, chilled supermarkets, air-conditioned cars, indoor stadium concourses, and restaurants where the ice sometimes seems more organized than the table service. European visitors may have heard this described as wasteful excess, another example of Americans refusing to live within nature's terms. Then they spend a week walking between matches, fan zones, parking lots, and public transportation in 90-degree weather. Suddenly, the automatic doors of a grocery store open like the gates of mercy, and the freezer aisle deserves its own national anthem. The deeper appeal has little to do with cold air itself. Reliable cooling keeps daily life available. Families can still go out during the afternoon. Older people can sit comfortably inside restaurants. Children can sleep while the night remains hot. Crowds can move through airports and shopping centers without looking as though they have just completed military training inside a sauna. Comfort preserves energy, patience, and the basic human ability to remain pleasant around relatives. Europe has its own sensible relationship with climate, especially where thick walls, shutters, shaded streets, and evening routines have worked for generations. American cooling culture offers a different pleasure because weather does not receive the final vote. The day can continue, the game can continue, and dinner plans do not collapse because the air outside feels like someone left the oven door open across an entire county. That may sound like a small reason to miss a country, yet habits become emotional surprisingly fast. After 2 weeks, the visitor stops carrying a handheld fan, stops checking whether every hotel room has air conditioning, and starts assuming comfort will simply be waiting behind the next door. Returning home then requires an awkward adjustment because the bedroom window is open, the fan is making heroic noises, and America's quiet little miracle is suddenly 3,000 miles away. The famous American dream may begin with opportunity, but during a July heat wave, it also includes a thermostat set to 72. The flag stays up, count the flags before counting the stadiums, because that is where America begins correcting the story told about it overseas. One hangs from a porch, another outside a fire station, and several appear beside food trucks, pickup beds, hotels, and neighborhoods ready for the 4th of July regardless of the calendar. European supporters often expect this display to feel loud or political because overseas coverage usually shows American symbols during elections, protests, or national arguments. Seeing them during ordinary life changes their meaning in an unexpected way. The flag beside a family barbecue does not feel like a campaign slogan. It feels closer to a family photograph that somebody proudly leaves where guests can see it. That everyday confidence is especially striking to visitors from Germany, where national symbols have long carried historical sensitivity. Public flag waving relaxed noticeably during the 2006 World Cup, remembered as the summer fairy tale. Yet it still rises mainly around major tournaments rather than remaining equally visible throughout the year. France can cover the Champs-Élysées in tricolors after a football victory, while England can turn streets into St. George's crosses during a tournament. America simply forgets to pack the flags away when the tournament ends. American patriotism in daily life often feels less formal than Europeans imagine. It lives on baseball caps, school walls, construction sites, small town parades, military discounts, and handwritten signs welcoming service members home. Gallup reported in 2023 that 67% of Americans describe themselves as extremely or very proud to be American. That number becomes easier to understand when visitors see how national pride is practiced rather than merely announced. Americans thank veterans in airports, stand for the anthem, decorate neighborhood streets, and speak about their hometowns with the confidence of unpaid tourism directors. The most surprising part is how much room this pride leaves for everybody else. During the World Cup, a Portuguese, Dutch, or Scottish flag does not have to shrink beside the stars and stripes. American crowds welcome the color, noise, and personality that visiting supporters bring, because confidence at its best does not fear another person's love for home. It recognizes that feeling and welcomes it almost immediately without hesitation. That may be why the atmosphere becomes so emotional for European fans. They were warned that American patriotism would feel boastful, yet they often encounter something warmer, a country comfortable enough to celebrate itself while handing visitors a plate and asking about their own traditions. The result resembles a block party where every guest brings a different flag, but the host still makes sure nobody leaves hungry. After several weeks, the constant display stops looking excessive and begins feeling reassuring. The flag says that this place belongs to people who care about it, argue over it, improve it, and still choose to celebrate it publicly. Returning home can then feel strangely muted, because America has reminded these visitors that loving a country does not always need an apology, a football final, or official permission from the calendar. The refill effect. The mystery of why European fans stop wanting to leave America may be hiding at the bottom of a soda glass. More precisely, it appears when that glass never quite reaches the bottom. A visitor from Berlin takes 2 careful sips, looks away for a moment, and suddenly the server has returned with enough ice and cola to restart the entire afternoon. Nobody discusses the refill, signs a form, or gathers the family for an emergency budget meeting. The drink simply comes back, as if the restaurant has personally decided that dehydration will not occur anywhere on its property. That tiny ritual reveals something much larger about American life. Service here is often designed to remove the awkward little pauses that travelers accept elsewhere. In Paris, a carafe of tap water can accompany a meal, although unlimited soda refills remain uncommon. In Rome or Berlin, another bottled drink usually becomes another item on the bill, which feels perfectly normal within a dining culture that encourages people to slow down. America treats the table more like a friendly command center, where hunger, thirst, extra sauce, substitutions, and tomorrow's lunch can all be handled before anyone loses momentum. The National Restaurant Association estimated that American restaurants and food service businesses would employ about 15.7 million people in 2024. That enormous workforce has helped create a national language of hospitality that foreign visitors learn remarkably quickly. The familiar question, "Can I get you anything else?" sounds casual, yet it carries the weight of a culture trained to notice what might make the customer more comfortable. The attraction goes far beyond receiving more food. What becomes addictive is having fewer small battles with everyday life. Coffee arrives quickly, water appears automatically, leftovers receive a box, and a complicated order can be customized until it resembles a carefully negotiated legal settlement. Somewhere in the kitchen, a cook may be reading, "No onions, sauce on the side, extra pickles," with the patience of a Supreme Court clerk, yet the customer still hears the wonderfully calming answer, "No problem." That simple phrase may be one of America's most underrated everyday luxuries. Across many European cities, good service can be professional, knowledgeable, and pleasantly unhurried because the meal itself deserves time. The American version offers another pleasure because it gives the customer remarkable control over the experience. A World Cup supporter rushing toward the stadium can eat quickly, take the rest away, refill the drink, divide the check, and leave with enough napkins to survive a minor weather emergency. After 2 weeks, visitors begin trusting this convenience without consciously noticing it. Their day moves more easily because servers, signs, counters, apps, drive-through windows, and paper cups all seem to be quietly cooperating. America begins feeling less like a country that constantly demands energy and more like one that keeps returning some of it. Then the fan arrives home, orders another soda, finishes it, and waits for the familiar rescue. Yet nothing happens while the empty glass sits there with the calm confidence of European tradition. Somewhere in his memory, an American server is already approaching with a refill and the dangerously tempting question, "Would you like dessert?" America goes. Full-volume European supporters thought they understood sporting passion until America handed the crowd a microphone, added fireworks, brought in a marching band, and treated an ordinary entrance like the final scene of a summer blockbuster. Football culture in Europe often grows from history. Dortmund's Yellow Wall carries generations of loyalty, while Wembley holds around 90,000 spectators beneath an atmosphere shaped by decades of famous matches. American sports culture comes from another instinct entirely. If thousands of people have already gathered, nobody should be allowed to experience the occasion at half volume. That instinct explains why the United States builds stadiums on a scale that can make European visitors check the numbers twice. Michigan Stadium lists a capacity of 107,601, while Beaver Stadium holds more than 106,000. Those are not merely crowds, they are temporary cities wearing matching colors and arguing about referees. What becomes addictive is not the noise itself, because European supporters can produce enough noise to frighten nearby pigeons into another postal code. The real attraction is America's gift for turning spectators into participants. Music fills every pause, cameras search for reactions, strangers high-five without introductions, and the person who came only to watch eventually behaves as though the team has trusted him with national security. In Madrid, Milan, or Manchester, the match often remains the sacred center of the day. America stretches the experience around it until the parking lot, halftime show, food stands, fan games, and journey home all feel like chapters of the same story. Nothing is treated as dead time because even a commercial break appears to have a production budget. This reveals something European visitors rarely hear in negative overseas coverage. Americans are remarkably generous with excitement. They do not protect joy behind good manners or wait until the final score makes celebration officially reasonable. They begin early, invite everybody nearby, and worry about dignity sometime tomorrow. After living inside that energy for several weeks, quieter routines can feel strangely unfinished. The visitor does not merely miss the stadium. He misses a country that looked at an ordinary afternoon, pressed the largest button available, and somehow made him part of the show. Maybe what these European fans found was never one spectacular attraction, but a country that kept making ordinary life feel larger, warmer, and more open than they expected. America surprised them through highways, stadiums, service, comfort, pride, and the freedom to enjoy things without apology. Once that feeling becomes part of daily life, leaving can feel like waking up too early. What part of America would make you stay longer? Share your answer and subscribe for more cultural stories.